The unseen spectrum, UV-IR subspace. You are surrounded by light you cannot see, not metaphorically, literally. The human eye detects only a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum, a thin slice between roughly 400 and 700 nanometers in wavelength. We call this slice visible light. Everything outside that range still exists, still moves, still carries energy and information, but to the human eye, it is invisible. Imagine listening to a vast symphony but hearing only 3 notes. That is what human vision is, a biological sensor tuned to a narrow window inside a much larger physical spectrum. Above the visible range lies ultraviolet. Below it lies infrared. Beyond those extend radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma radiation, each occupying its own region of wavelength and energy. None of these are abstract ideas. They are measurable electromagnetic phenomena interacting with matter constantly, including you. Ultraviolet light sits just beyond the violet edge of visible perception. Shorter wavelength, higher energy. It is energetic enough to trigger chemical reactions inside biological tissue. This is why ultraviolet radiation can alter DNA, why it powers vitamin D synthesis in skin, why it can damage cells if exposure becomes excessive. To insects, birds, and some reptiles, ultraviolet patterns are visible. Flowers reveal hidden markings. Feathers display signals invisible to humans. The world these creatures perceive is richer in information because their sensory window is wider. Now move downward along the spectrum. Beyond red light lies infrared, longer wavelength, lower energy, but still powerful enough to interact with matter in profound ways. Infrared radiation is primarily associated with heat. Every warm object emits it, including your body. Your skin continuously radiates infrared photons into the surrounding environment. Thermal cameras can detect this radiation easily. To such instruments, darkness does not exist because heat is always visible. This leads to an important realization. Darkness is not the absence of radiation. It is only the absence of radiation detectable by human eyes. The environment around you is constantly glowing in wavelengths you cannot perceive. Walls, plants, animals, the ground beneath your feet. Everything emits energy across multiple spectral bands. Reality is luminous in ways human biology cannot register. But the electromagnetic spectrum does not stop at ultraviolet and infrared. It extends across enormous scales. Radio waves stretch meters, kilometers, even planetary distances in wavelength. Microwaves move energy across shorter ranges and are used in communication systems. X-rays penetrate soft tissue and reveal internal structures. Gamma rays emerge from nuclear processes and extreme astrophysical events. All of these signals occupy the same physical continuum, different frequencies, same fundamental phenomenon. Electromagnetic radiation. Now consider what this means. Your sensory experience of reality is based on a very small fragment of what actually exists. Human perception evolved for survival on a specific planet under specific conditions, not for comprehensive detection of all physical signals. You see the wavelengths that help identify food, predators, and environmental cues. You do not see the rest, but the rest is still there. Modern instruments expand the window. Radio telescopes detect cosmic emissions invisible to optical astronomy. Infrared observatories reveal cold dust clouds where stars are born. Ultraviolet sensors map energetic processes in stellar atmospheres. X-ray satellites track black holes and neutron stars. Each instrument shows a different version of the universe. Same cosmos, different slice of the spectrum. If human eyes could suddenly see the entire electromagnetic range, the night sky would transform instantly. Invisible radio jets would stream from galaxies. Infrared heat signatures would glow across planetary surfaces. Ultraviolet storms would dance around stars. X-ray bursts would flash near collapsing stellar remnants. The sky would become layered with information, complex, bright, overwhelming. Human vision is quiet because it is filtered. This filtering is not a limitation by accident. It is a biological optimization. Too much information overwhelms the brain. Too little leaves an organism vulnerable. Evolution selects a narrow sensory channel that balances survival and efficiency. Your brain already processes enormous sensory data. Adding the full electromagnetic spectrum would produce chaos. The world would not become clearer. It would become unreadable. But the electromagnetic spectrum may not be the full story. Physics describes many phenomena that do not interact with light at all. Dark matter is one example. It exerts gravitational influence on galaxies and cosmic structure, yet does not emit or absorb electromagnetic radiation in detectable ways. Another example lies in quantum field theory. Fields permeate space continuously, existing even where no particles appear. The vacuum itself contains fluctuating energy, invisible interactions constantly unfolding at microscopic scales. This raises a deeper question. What if additional layers of physical structure exist that lie completely outside the electromagnetic spectrum? Not simply invisible to human vision, invisible to light itself. Some theoretical frameworks suggest that hidden sectors of physics could exist with their own particles and forces, interacting only weakly with ordinary matter. If such sectors exist, they would form part of reality while remaining almost entirely undetectable. Scientists sometimes refer to this possibility informally as a hidden sector, or more loosely, subspace. Not science fiction warp drives, but the idea that reality may contain structural layers beyond the fields we currently measure. Evidence for such hidden layers remains indirect. Gravitational anomalies, dark matter behavior, unresolved properties of fundamental particles. These clues suggest that known physics might not yet be complete. The universe may contain additional field interactions still waiting to be discovered. But even without speculative physics, the unseen spectrum already dominates reality. Visible light represents less than 1 octave in an enormous electromagnetic continuum. Everything else, ultraviolet, infrared, radio, X-ray, gamma, exists beyond the limits of human perception. Your senses show you one narrow band of a much larger signal landscape. Consider the implications. When you look at the world, you are not seeing reality as it fully exists. You are seeing the part of reality your nervous system is equipped to interpret. Everything else passes silently through your environment. Radio waves carrying global communications, infrared heat signatures drifting from living bodies, ultraviolet radiation streaming from the sun, high-energy particles crossing the atmosphere, invisible, but real. This does not mean the world is hidden from you intentionally. It simply means that perception is selective. Reality contains more layers than any single biological system can detect. Science expands perception by building instruments that translate invisible signals into visible data. Each new detector widens the window. Each discovery reveals a deeper structure. The unseen spectrum reminds us of a simple truth. Visibility does not define existence. Human senses define convenience, not reality. The universe is not limited to what your eyes detect. It is a continuum of energy, fields, and interactions stretching across wavelengths far beyond ordinary perception. Ultraviolet, infrared, radio, X-ray, gamma, and perhaps layers still undiscovered. What you see is only the illuminated edge of a much larger structure. The rest of the spectrum continues quietly around you, whether you perceive it or not. Dark matter decode, translating the hidden architecture behind what the senses reveal.